All right, good morning. It's 2 minutes after 8, and we go live to Washington. We are joined by Congressman Chuck Fleishman. Congressman, good morning.
Steve, good morning. Always a pleasure to be on your great radio show. Thank you, sir.
Well, hey, thank you for coming. And, Congressman, you were in the chamber last night. Just first of all, talk about that experience being at another State of the Union.
That was my 16th State of the Union, Steve, and every year when I do this, it's magical. It is so special. Leading up to the event, we go and visit with members of the cabinet, and as Tennessee's lone appropriator in the House, as you know, I fund the government, so that's one of those issues that we always have very good discussions, but there are throngs of well-wishers and folks all throughout the Capitol and on Capitol Hill. It was cold last night, but then getting into the chamber, we get into the chamber usually a good 2 hours before they start to get a seat. But wonderful, wonderful night. Everything before, during, and after. Press is out there in Statuary Hall by the hundreds. So it's a really special night for all of America. And Donald Trump did not disappoint last night. I think probably one of his best State of the Union addresses ever.
We're joined by Congressman Chuck Fleishman live from Washington. I want to touch on some of the key issues that the president addressed, and I want to begin with the possible strike or whatever it's going to be against Iran. I'm sure you are well aware of the national reports that General Dan Kane, chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, saying privately he's concerned about this, concerned about the possibility of American casualties. How do you respond to that this morning, Congressman?
Well, I know the president well. I know General Kane very well. We have been briefed both in the classified and unclassified sense in regard to the Iran situation. I can only talk in the unclassified realm, the public realm. Let's face it, Steve, Iran has been, since the revolution in 1979, the world's worst sponsor of terrorism, not only in its borders, outside of its borders, whether it's Hezbollah, Hamas, all across the Middle East. They've posed a threat to Israel with their rhetoric to the United States. This is what I think. I think after the masterful strike, which destroyed Iran's ability to make a nuclear weapon, and we did do that, they began right away starting down that path. And I think that's very dangerous. So I trust President Trump and our great United States military to address that threat straight on, heads up. And the reality is we have seen the United States military, not only in Iran, but also in Venezuela, continue to excel at a record that has really astounded the rest of the world. So I trust President Trump to get it done. There are channels of communication going on, I can tell you that, between the United States and Iran. Rest assured, under President Donald Trump, our great president, he will make our positions abundantly clear to that horrible regime in Iran that has now killed close to 40,000 of its own citizens who are protesting to try to get back to a democratic rule.
We're joined by Congressman Chuck Fleishman, of course, as he said, his 16th State of the Union last night where he was present. Congressman, I also, from the economic standpoint that the president hit last night, what stood out to you as far as what he talked about economically and especially as it pertains not only to Tennessee but to your congressional district here?
Well, thank you. Another excellent question, Steve. I think last night, for the best way possible, President Trump explained affordability to the American people. When you keep energy prices low, as he has, when you try to drive food prices down on eggs and essentials, when you keep regulations and taxes to a minimum, prices go down. When you keep supply up, whether it's with energy or any other commodity, the prices go down. So I think for the best time, the president explained to the American people why he and people like me, a conservative Republican who votes the way I do, whether it was for the big, beautiful bill or otherwise, are taking steps to make sure, whether it's health care or whatever the American need, that we are wanting to drive prices down. And conversely, that the Democratic policies that were in place under the Biden administration, which was a disaster on so many fronts, but the reality is those actions drove prices up. So he addressed the root cause of inflation, affordability, and I think it was a great resounding message to the American people. I think it's going to help Republicans infinitely in the midterms.
We're joined by Congressman Chuck Fleishman, and also last night there were several moments that people are talking about this morning about the State of the Union. Obviously, the United States men's hockey team just won the gold medal on Sunday coming out. But then some very patriotic moments. Congressman Fleischman, you made a statement actually earlier today or maybe last night about Navy Captain E. Royce Williams, Army Chief Warrant Officer Eric Slover receiving the Medal of Honor. Talk about those moments.
Well, for the raid on Venezuela, which got Maduro, who's a dictator and now is being subject to American justice, and actually we're trying to bring Venezuela back into the normal world fold with energy and the like. But the reality is that officer basically took tremendous fire and was wounded several times. We knew that, but for the first time last night, the American people were told that. And he lost a lot of blood. To see the Congressional Medal of Honor awarded to him was outstanding, was well-deserved, and I'm so glad we got that story out to the American people. So that was very important. And then the gentleman who had served from World War II through Korea and Vietnam, 100 years old, he as well receiving the Congressional Medal of Honor. So many of these people, Steve, are just unsung heroes. They don't boast about their great heroism. They just went out and did it and then went on to live wonderful, quiet lives. I'm so glad that all Americans, Republicans, Democrats, independents, partisans, and nonpartisans last night could see America at its best. And those two gentlemen and our hockey team are clearly America at its best.
We're joined by Congressman Chuck Fleischman. Hey, by the way, I saw Jimmy Duncan I texted you last night. I saw Jimmy Duncan there in the chamber. It was great to see John Duncan.
Yes, it certainly was. Jimmy Duncan formerly served in the 2nd District, and for years, part of Bradley County would go back and forth in the 2nd and 3rd Districts. So Jimmy, as a former members are always invited on the floor. We can go on the floor anytime. They can't have a seat, but they can stand in the gallery. And Jimmy has done that several times since he retired. It was good to see him again. I know Jimmy Duncan well. I knew his daddy very well, John Duncan, who represented other counties that not only Bradley, but I know your great show goes into McMinn and Monroe. For years, 42 years, a Duncan represented McMinn and Monroe counties, and I'm so privileged to represent them both right now.
Well, Congressman Fleischman, hey, anything else you want to add about last night?
An historic event, I think an outstanding job by President Trump articulating where we are as a nation and where we want to go as a nation. There's going to be, Steve, a tremendous focus on America at 250. I don't mind telling you, I'm in the process, as you know, I write novels and poems, and I'm a bit of a wordsmith. So I'm going to be writing a poem to present to the president to commemorate America at 250. Let's hope and pray it's some of my better work. If it's not, he'll tell me. If he likes it, we'll run with it. But that's one great thing about President Trump. I was in the Oval Office with him a couple weeks ago, and he is so good and so direct. He signed my energy and water bill, and I know you have such a great, wonderful listening audience of Republicans, Democrats, Independents. My energy and water bill passed with 419 votes.
Wow.
That means we did something right. and that really stood out to the president. So very pleased about that, but love the people of Tennessee, love your show, and we'll keep moving forward and do great things.
Congressman Chuck Fleishman, Congressman, we thank you so much for giving us the perspective from inside the chamber last night. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Wish you the best always.
Thank you, sir, very much. All right, it is